Hello, crafters and artisans, and welcome to Psychedelic Squid Fiber Arts. Today I'll be showing you different ways to prepare your wool for washing and the results. For every good experiment, you need a control group, so that'll be my standard treatment. Then I'll be doing a lemon juice treatment that's supposed to whiten the wool, and then I'll flick the dirty tips to open them up for a better cleaning, and lastly, I'll do a cold soak overnight. I'll cover these methods a little more in depth as we go. This wool is an East Frisian Colombian mix. It was coated, so there's minimal vegetable matter. The wool itself is fine, but it was sold at a discount because supposedly it has some canary staining. This fleece also has a break in it about 1 inch from the tip, but the rest of the lock still has good integrity, which is good because sometimes canary staining can weaken the wool. First, here is my wool separated out into individual locks. For this fleece, I'm doing 2 scours, 1 hot water rinse and 1 cold water rinse across the board. I'm trying to keep as many variables as I can consistent. I use the juice from 1 lemon in 1 scour for each of the lemon juice treated samples. Supposedly, lemon juice can help lighten the canary staining. I'll let you decide at the end if you agree. Here's a quick look at the wool with the flicked tips. Basically, you use a slicker brush for dogs or hand carders to open up the tips on the wool. I strongly recommend doing this outside with a respirator on because the dirt gets into the air. For the cold soak, I simply let my wool soak overnight in a tub of cold water. I feel like a cold soak is a great idea if your wool is particularly dirty, as it'll probably save you a rinse or two. Here, you can see the dirt left behind from the overnight soak. Now, let's speed through the washing and rinsing processes for the 4 samples. Here are the 4 samples after drying. The control or standard, our one with lemon juice, our one with flicked tips and lemon juice, and our cold soak with lemon juice. At this stage, I have to say the flicked tips with lemon juice is the cleanest, but it did take me almost 2.5 hours to flick the tips on this amount of wool. I will admit I'm not the fastest at flicking the tips on the wool, probably because I refuse to miss a spot. But regardless if I did it faster, it still takes a significant amount of additional time. I wasn't originally going to use lemon juice on the cold soak or the flipped tip samples because I wanted to see what each treatment did to the wool by itself. But I felt I might have created a bias from using a cleaner portion of the wool for the lemon juice treatment. My fleece was only 3 or 4 pounds and the wool length, dirt, and crimp varied throughout the fleece. So I decided to use lemon juice on the rest of the samples to see if it made a noticeable impact. Looking at a single lock from each of the treatments, we can see a few differences in the cleanliness, especially across the tips. Overall though, I see little difference between the lemon juice samples and the one without. The best looking lock in my opinion is the flick tip sample, but I'm far more interested in the final results. Here are the 4 samples combed out with a fine tooth comb. I did 7 passes on the combs for each sample to ensure uniformity, but I could have stopped at 5 passes for the flick tip sample. Initially, the standard treatment looked to be just a tinge more cream colored than the rest, so maybe the little juice has had a mild whitening effect. However, looking at each of these samples up close, I can't really see a difference. So to recap, lemon juice, pros and cons. Pros, maybe it's cleaner, smells nice. Cons, it requires lemon juice, and it could weaken the wool. I didn't notice any damage to my wool, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. I don't see any significant whitening effect, but that's just my opinion. Cold soak. Pros. It's easy, and it could require less rinses to clean your wool. Cons is it takes an additional amount of water, potentially offsetting any water saved with the fewer rinses. Flick tips. Pros. The beautiful clean locks are very clean, and it'll save you some time on combing the wool, probably carding the wool as well. Cons is it takes additional time, dirt gets everywhere, and no significant difference in the cleanliness after combing. Please note, I did not measure the amount of waste wool, as the wool had a break in it, and it probably would have led to inconsistencies between the different test samples. So for this particular fleece, I think everything came out more or less tied. For me, nothing really stood out, but the benefits of lemon juice, cold soaking, or flicking the tips may be more noticeable in a different fleece. Let me know what you think. Please leave any questions you have in the comment section below, and thank you for exploring the depths of your creativity with me, and I'll see you next time.